Rain here with Josh Barrett from the PCT. It's May 30th, 2023. I'm Landslide, and this is Josh. What's your trail name again?
So I did get a trail name now. My trail name is Shoot.
Shoot. Okay, there's the story behind that.
Thute. So,
TH.
yeah, there is a little bit of a story. It's not a major story, really, but well, you've done the trail, so you know Forester Pass.
Yeah.
So when we were on the approach to Forester, I could see the ice chute, and of course, there's the switchbacks off to the right side. And I said to my hiking partners, I said, I think I want to try to climb the ice chute. And everyone, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. I'm like, hi, but you can't go look at it. And so, you know, because I had crampons and ice axe and all the fun stuff. So anyway, I approached the chute and started climbing up. And I don't know if you remember where the rock face, where it officially turns into a chute. I probably got 20 feet into that and looked down at my feet and noticed that my crampons were pulling off of my shoe because I'm wearing trail runners, not mountaineering boots. And even though the crampons are supposed to go with runners, mine are super flexible. They're Ultra Lone Peaks, so they're very flexible, very soft, very lightweight, and there's no structure to hold the crampon really in place. And so they were starting to pull off my shoe, and I realized that was not a good situation. So I ended up down climbing and traversing over and doing the route as intended on the switchbacks and all that stuff. Well, afterwards, all my hiking partners said, we should start calling you Ice Chute. And we didn't really talk about it much after that, but and no one really did. So at that point, no official trail name. Well, apparently there was a group at the top of the ice chute, already on the top of the pass. They witnessed the same thing. They saw me coming up and never spoke with them at that time. They were already gone by the time we summited the pass. But 8 days later, we get into Bishop, and that group was here at the hostel, and they said, your trail name has to be Shoot because you were trying to climb the ice chute. Okay. So 2 different parties gave me the same name without ever consulting each other. So I think it fits. So.
Clear sign.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
No, my year it was no snow up until the other side of Forester. That's only first snow. So I don't know about any ice chutes there. But it was
goodness! Yeah.
It was one switchback. It was their ice. Yeah. Okay.
So you did the switchbacks. Do you remember where? So it switchbacked on rock, and it was official switchbacks. But then at one point you had to traverse across before you hit more rock flat switchbacks.
It's 2014. I can't remember that far back. Yeah. I just remember it's scary.
It was all snow. It was
Jeez.
The world is made of snow right now. We basically went for, let me think. Let's see. I think we did 8 days without ever touching dry ground. We're camping on snow, hiking on snow. Everything is on snow. Some of the river crossings are better that way because there's snow bridges. But that's also a little scary at times. I've learned very quickly that I enjoy the passes. I enjoy the steep climbs. I enjoy the quote unquote mountaineering aspect. The stream crossings really scare me, particularly this year because they're super, super, super high flow right now. So, and that is my weakness, I suppose.
Probably you and others, I'm sure, So, how do you do it? What's your strategy, basically?
Well, we haven't had any bad ones yet. So we've had a couple very innocuous stream crossings, maybe shin deep, nothing major, no high flow. One of the rivers that we had to cross Where there was high flow, we happened to be able to find a spot where there was an island in the middle of the river which split the stream. The side with the heavier flow had a snow bridge, and so we haven't had to deal with any major river fords yet. The section we're about to go into between Bishop and Mammoth supposedly has several that are going to be very challenging. So I'll let you know in our next update how I deal with it.
Okay. Which will be, where are you heading? Are you going to do Mammoth?
We skip a section because there's a bridge across the San Joaquin River that is actually out, and that river is not fordable. It's a major river, and the bridge got damaged over the winter, and the recommendation is to not try to cross it. And so we're going to take that recommendation and not try to cross it. And so we're actually skipping up to Paiute Pass. So we're going to miss the Muir Pass and several miles of PCT. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then I believe the rivers we're going to ford that are going to be a little more major are Bear Creek, and the other one is escaping me. Mono Creek, I believe it's called. So North Mono Creek. So
you're with the group. Sounds like you're with the group. Yeah.
Yeah. So that yes. I learned the hard way that it's not wise to be in the Sierra alone. So it for safety reasons, there's going to actually be 5 of us in the group coming up. There were 3 of us on this last stretch, but we picked up 2 other hikers, and so there's going to be 5 of us, which I feel comfortable with. Everyone's strong, everyone's sensible, and I think we're going to be good. And just for the river crossings, I think that's the best way to do it. So,
are you the most experienced since you're from Michigan and the snow country?
Not at all.
No,
not at all. I don't know who technically would be the most experienced in our group. I don't consider myself to be experienced in any stretch. I would say one of the guys is probably the most experienced in terms of rivers, because he did the Appalachian Trail a few years ago, later in the season, and some of the river crossings in New Hampshire and Maine, he said, were pretty gnarly. So I guess I would default to him as far as tips and tricks and knowledge on how to cross and that sort of thing. There's 2 other guys. I'm not sure what their experience in river fording is, but I definitely would not consider myself experienced in that sense whatsoever.
Are you? How much food are you carrying for the next stretch, and where are you going to be resupplying?
So we are planning a 6-day carry. We're hoping to do it in 5, and we're carrying 7 days. So that's in case we do have issues that take us a little extra time. So that's, if that answers your question.
Where's the next supply going to be?
It would be up in Mammoth.
Mammoth, yeah.
So I believe, including the side trails to an exit, I believe we're going to end up, I think it's only 49 miles. I don't remember off the top of my head, though. We have it actually written down. So,
well, how's the weather been in terms of
the
snow? Yeah,
really nice the last few days. When we left Lone Pine, basically it was almost like a mini monsoon season where the mornings were beautiful, then it would cloud up in the afternoon, rain in the late afternoon, early evening, and then the next day we'd wake up and it would be absolutely clear. So for about 4 or 5 days, we actually had rain every night, which, in addition to snow camping, made things a little interesting, because obviously your gear gets frozen and wet and that sort of stuff. But then after that, the rain let up and it's been fine. And then it actually worked in our favor. It got a little bit cold. So the snow stayed firmer longer in the day, which allowed us to just get a few more miles in before it really got soft and you started, knee-deep post-holing, that sort of thing. And it made going up some of the passes super easy, which was actually very nice.
Did you get up to Whitney?
We did not get up to Whitney. We elected to skip Whitney. Because we went in and our stretch was going to be an 8-day carry from Lone Pine to Bishop, we didn't want to take the extra food that would require us to also summit Whitney, because that's obviously an extra day. Mm-hmm. And then we heard that the conditions at the time were not really conducive for summiting. That doesn't mean people haven't done it. A few people have done it, but a lot of times what those folks are doing is they're exiting. So to do that longer carry, we didn't want to bring 10 days worth of food. But the folks that are going in, let's say at Lone Pine and coming out at Kearsarge, which is only like a 5-day carry, those are the ones that are actually going for Whitney. And the conditions have changed enough that now it's a little bit better to summit Whitney. When we went through, it was still considered pretty sketchy. So yeah. I have now missed all the iconic mountaintops in the southern side. I've missed San Jacinto, I've missed Baden-Powell, and I've missed Whitney. So I have work to do. Trail.
Yeah, you have to come back here, California.
Yeah.
So is the amount of people that started in Mexico, in Campo, how many are doing the Sierras of those people, do you think?
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, a lot of people.
That's a really tough question.
Yeah.
So of the people, excuse me, of the people that started, let's just say, in my bubble, which I'll define my bubble as roughly a week around me. I would say the number of people actually that have gone through the Sierra is 20%.
Brave, 20% brave souls. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of people skipped up pretty much right away. It just is what it is. And the thing is, I kind of feel bad for them because there was nowhere to skip to. It doesn't matter where you flip to right now. There is snow everywhere. So if you're hoping to avoid snow, there's not much that you can do. You might as well walk in the Sierra. And honestly, this earlier season is, I hate to say it, but it might be the only time to get through the Sierra this year. Because once the snow bridges really go and the melt really hits hard, because the melt, it's definitely increasing, but it's not at its peak yet. Once melt really starts to peak, I don't think anyone's going to get through, because I think the window to get through the Sierra is closing, and I think we're going to sneak through the last part of it, and that'll be it.
What date did you start from Kennedy Meadows? When did you start the Sierras?
Goodness, I can't even remember, because it's been a really weird stretch for me. Because we've been here now this is our 4th day in Bishop. I spent 3 days in Kennedy Meadows, so that's a week right there. We had a week of hiking, so let's go 2 weeks ago, give or take.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's when I suggested. Yeah, May 1st was a suggestion. I heard a lot of people saying that to start on the Sierras. What was the talk around Kennedy Meadows when you were there?
It was all about how do you get through.
yeah, imagine. Yeah.
Really interesting. There was a lot of debate about gear in terms of, do you wear crampons? Do you wear micro spikes? Do you bring snowshoes? Do you not bring snowshoes? And it was interesting. Everyone, some people actually skied through. So there, not a lot of people, but a handful skied through. So some people snowshoed. I tried snowshoes, did it for about 3 days, and then, when they're good, they're really good. But the problem is a lot of the terrain we're on is traversing across a slope, and that is not a snowshoe's strong suit. So ended up not keeping them. I just sent them home. That said, there's stretches where I still wish I had them because, when it's flat, it's really nice. But then on the other side of it is none of my hiking partners have snowshoes, so it's not going to give me an advantage in terms of putting on any more miles because I'm going to stay with whatever they do anyway.
Right.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. There's times, like any other tool, there's a great time to use it and there's a great time to not use it. And unfortunately, with snowshoes, there's not enough terrain, in my opinion, to warrant carrying them. So.
You say you're going to skip up to Mammoth. How are you going to get out and over? Or what's your plan?
Well, the trail goes, right to Mammoth pretty much. So we'll exit at Mammoth, and then we don't know what the plan is. We're loosely discussing it. What we've heard right now from groups ahead of us is that no one has left Mammoth and been able to continue north.
Wow.
They've gone in and had to turn around.
Wow.
So we're concerned that will be the case when we get there, but we're trying not to focus on that. We're on just this. When we get that done, hopefully there's enough information for us to make whether we're able to Mammoth or skip.
You're cutting out again a little bit. Maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What did you get? What did you miss?
Well, you again, the Mammoth. After that, people are turning back. Isn't that the John Muir Trail, pretty much? Next couple 100 miles.
Yeah, we've already been on it for a little bit because it ended at Whitney. So, but we do have to skip that small section over the San Joaquin. So we exit. The reason we exited Bishop is so we could obviously resupply, but then we'll go back in at Paiute, and then we'll do the 49-mile stretch up to Mammoth, and then once we get to Mammoth, we'll make a decision on whether it makes sense to continue or whether it makes sense to skip the sections with all the rivers and things like that. Again, we don't even have enough information right now, so we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to get through this next section, and that's kind of the way we've been looking at it. Is let's just plan for the next section, whatever that is. And then when we finish that section, then we'll plan for the next section.
And what is your source of information primarily? Where are you getting your...
Kind of a mix. We're using the Far Out app, obviously, so there's the crowdsourced comments on there. There's the Yogi Facebook group. One of the guys is connected on Reddit. And then just the general, what's the word on the street that people have been hearing.
Right.
And it's kind of a mix of information, and hopefully we can put it together in a reasonable manner and make a good decision out of it.
Well, how's your health? How are you holding up body-wise? How's the body?
It's been good until this last stretch. This last stretch was super, super hard. And it took a lot out of me. And so I was able to get through it. But as soon as we got into Bishop, I almost immediately got a cold. My body was so broken down that, all it takes is one little sniffle and it latched on. So I'm fighting it pretty well. I don't feel terrible. We're supposed to hike out today. We'll see how it goes.
Well, that's where I was down for 3 days in Bishop too with a urinary tract infection, and I couldn't even pee. Nothing came out. I had to wear a bag for 3 days.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
Dehydrated. I climbed Whitney, and I was exhausted and worn out, so I needed a rest. Bishop's a good place to rest. There's a lot of amenities there. Yeah,
For
glad
sure.
you,
Yeah. Yeah.
glad you made it there. It's a fun town. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've sampled several of the restaurants, of course, and the hostel is really nice. So we're just chilling here, and
So
so
what time you heading out?
this afternoon. So about 3 hours from now, give or take.
Okay. Yeah, you got a lot on your plate there. You got a
Yeah.
long way to go too. But yeah, section at a time.
Yeah. Second time, everything's ready. We did our resupply yesterday, so my pack is pretty much packed. I've got a couple tidbits to do, but really nothing major. So, kind of the last thing to do is eat a good meal and go stand in front of the post office and hope to find a ride.
Yeah, which pass are you going back up to?
Paiute Pass.
Paiute Pass, okay.
So Paiute Pass is not technically part of the PCT. It's one of the side trails similar to the Bishop Pass. One of the side trails that goes from the North Lake Trailhead to the PCT, and so that's where we're going in.
Okay. Yeah, let's keep in touch. Next, I don't know, 300,
Yeah.
400 miles. Check in again.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear
I
what's going on.
Yeah, I will. I'm not sure where my next good spot will be. Obviously, Mammoth will be good. At some point, I'll be in Tahoe, so maybe that's a good one. I'm
Maybe
not sure.
Tahoe. Yeah, Tahoe is a good place. Let's do it in
Okay,
Tahoe. Yeah. Yeah.
sounds good.
Wish you well. Happy trails. You're doing great, though.
All right,
Doing
thank you,
great.
Bill.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
Good luck.
bye.
Bye-bye.